Hello everyone, my name is SiC and welcome back to Factorio, where we are playing for the Space Age expansion, and we are currently on Gleba. I haven't touched the game in a little while because honestly I got distracted with playing The Last of Us 2, which is a brilliant game and I loved every little bit of it. But today, yeah, it's about time we jump back into this game. So yeah, I think what we need to do here today is we need to scale up the production of this material, though this seems to be going well for the most part. It's producing a lot right now, but just a while before it was completely out and it wasn't producing that much, and I want to create more iron ore. You know, we're not producing that much, so we can barely fill this belt here, which is nice because it means we don't have a lot of spoilage at the end, but we also don't produce a whole ton of iron ore. As you can see, it's really not that much, and we're going to need ammo, we're going to need to make a bunch of things here, so we do need to scale this up. So for that, of course, we need to make some soil, which I need to find again. I guess it's on this tab, yes it is. So we have the jelly nut seed. We need 2 of those. We need 50 nutrients and 5 landfill to make artificial jelly nut soil. Yeah, 50 nutrients. I guess what we can do is we can just make it up over here where we were making the other thing, the other type of soil, except the one downside will be we don't have a lot of seeds coming in. This is working at full speed and that is really nice to see, and we cannot get rid of this fast enough actually, which is interesting. I suppose we need another 2 of these, a fast one over here, but of course we need to filter them. And then this one can feed right back onto there, and then this one is producing as well. Alright, so with that we have nutrients again. This keeps producing, and that is interesting. Why are we getting spoilage? I guess the nutrients are going bad in here, huh? Yeah. Alright, so we need to filter this one. You need to do this for absolutely everything, it's kind of nuts. Right, that one is going to filter out this stuff, this spoilage. We're going to get out of here, and we need the spoilage into a separate thing, a separate belt. So what we're going to do here is we're going to filter out the spoilage and so on, and I'll hook that back up to the main system. Well, we are going to make that soil over here, in fact. We're going to have to start small because I don't have that many materials to work with as of right now. And actually that also reminds me, I could send the Gleba rocket. Well, it's already here. Alright, so it's loading up on laser turrets, it's loading up on electric engines. I guess we can also load up crap, what I was just looking at. Sometimes my brain goes too fast for this game and I'm just all over the problems that I need to solve. Right, these ones, yes. That is what we were looking for. So we'll ask for 100 of those and then we'll be okay. Rocket capacity 25, yeah, that makes sense, and well, why that is taking so long. Anyway, that is going to take some time and that will be absolutely fine. Over here we're going to start producing the jelly nut seed, the pink stuff. Right, and for that, of course, we are going to need the seeds, which are being output over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and split that. Now, half of what is coming out of here is going to go onto this belt, then half of that is going to go back onto it, but the other half is going to go underneath, like so. And then we're going to feed that into here. And that is nice. Then we'll get these to set up like so. Then we need some landfill. We don't need a lot of it. 5 landfill to jelly nuts. So the landfill we can put onto the other side of this belt here, which will be okay. then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing that we just did over here, except we're going to do that on this side. Alright, and then we're going to take this down. I want to leave a little bit of space so that this stays expandable. Alright, we'll go sideways. No, we need to get rid of these boom puff thingies or whatever they were called. I don't quite remember, but we have, of course, some repair packs in our pockets. Now I could probably stand to make a few more. And then we have that material sorted out as well. Nice. Alright, so we have landfill, we have seeds coming in. Of course, we do also need power, so we'll hook that up. And then we need nutrients. So nutrients, yeah, it's good that we'll have a second use for this because we definitely need it. And this stuff, yeah, doesn't quite go fast enough. So we will put a splitter in here. We'll go under here. And then we'll go up like that. This is going to go on like that. And here we're going to go underneath, up, and then we'll follow this until the end there. Well, my PC froze for a second there, but I finished setting this up. So all we really need here is seeds. We have one in here already. That is interesting. But we need a couple of more, and I'm thinking we probably have a few at the end of this belt, just waiting. Probably. And indeed we do. So yeah, we're going to grab a couple of those. Because yeah, those seeds will not be used until we have more farmable soil here anyway. So we might as well toss a bunch of them into this area so that we can actually use more seeds for planting. Alright, so here we go. We are making this soil so that we can then start expanding our farming area. So we'll get the artificial jelly nut soil icon, we'll plant that there. And then I have 30 just like that. That's not a whole lot, because usually we need a whole lot more to actually to get this stuff. We also need to increase the production of nutrients over here. So we need to look at that next, because this is not cutting it. But yeah, I'm going to plant this soil and then I'll be right back. Well, this farm, or at least this agricultural tower, has reached the maximum of its potential. And that leaves me curious where else I could plant this, because I'm still not into, I guess it's this reddish water that we could turn into the soil type that we need. But as you can see, there's no more squares here, so this thing is completely covered. We have done everything that we can to make sure that this is always farming as much as it can. But we could still make another one here. We are going to need a lot more, right? But eventually we can put a second tower here and then we can double what we are producing. But for now, I think we have a healthy amount of plants and we should have a much more steady income of these jelly nuts. Meanwhile, new materials are arriving from Nauvis, and with that we should be okay for a little while. We'll grab the assembly machines because we'll need them. We will have all the materials that we need to make the rocket silo here as well now. I'm going to go ahead and grab these. We do still have some solar panels as well that I could drop in here somewhere. Like, let's say we'll drop a few over here because we have the space and the extra power is always good. And then we need to make a couple of more of these accumulator stations, because yeah, whatever excess power we have, you know, we need to make efficient use of. So I'll finish doing this and then I'll be right back once again. Then it is probably time to make a rocket fuel, because we have all the materials for that and I need to make use of this bioflux that we are making, and basically that is rotting on the belts. So what we're going to do is we are going to make an assembly machine line. Oh, but where is the question, of course? And that is, oh, look at all of that. That cloud is spreading, man. That is scary. Yeah, we'll leave some space here for that stuff. I'm supposing we could make it over here somewhere. I think that will be fine. Alright, so we're going to set up a little assembly, or a little, maybe a slightly big assembly for the rocket fuel. Where is that? I guess there's an alternative recipe. Right, there should be. Rocket fuel from jelly recipe, and that is made in biochambers, right? So we should not look for that in here. We need to make some biochambers. Right now we have 0, so I'll be back once we have a couple more. Now we will have an interesting puzzle here again, because we need to have several inputs. One of them is water, so we need an output as well. But for the water, let's say we're going to have this design again. Or I guess we could leave enough space that we can route 2 belts through here. So we would have an inserter, belt, belt, pipe. So we would need to leave a little bit more space in here. And then I guess what we need to do here is we need to leave a little bit of space. But that only leaves space for 1 item, but I think that is okay. I think we will be able to manage that. But then we don't have the extra inserter. So water, this thing, and that thing. We don't need to make it that complicated, I guess. One side like this will suffice, and then we'll have an input belt over here, an output belt in the center. So we'll have like inputs, outputs, and then the input is going to stop right about there, and then we're going to continue that same design on the other side. But for now I only could make these 2, so this is what we're going to have to work with, and that will be okay. Right, there we go. So we need nutrients for this as well. So actually there is a third input that we need. So we're going to have to double this up somehow, because how much do we need for this? We need 2 bioflux, 30 jelly. So the bioflux and the nutrients can stack up together. Alright, so the bioflux is being made over here. And we are going to have to get that out of there somehow. I guess we can go up here. If we make a splitter right about there. Yeah. We're going to have to make an underground belt right there. Alright, I guess we'll go with underground belt right there instead. Alright, we'll go sideways that way. Right, I think that's going to be okay. Maybe we can make this work. Yes, indeed we can. Nice. Saves us a little belt. And then we're going to have this come through over here. Of course, later we need to make sure that we get the spoilage off of this belt, but that is going to be okay. We're going to have inputs like so. And of course we need to have more of this stuff coming in. And I suppose for the time being we could split that off of here. And then we'll take the blue belts. Right, we'll have to go underground. Like so. And that is going to hook up in this fashion so that we have access to these. And we'll have to have the big inserters over here. We need to have these as outputs, and these will use the filters of the rocket fuel. Right, and then we need to have input of the jelly, which is, funnily enough, it is backing up, but it is not. Alright, we'll go like this. It's not going to be enough production, I don't think. This thing is coming up, and then that height is going to work out just nicely for us. We'll have the inputs, and then now all we need to do is we need to hook it up to water. Now I'm assuming that we have enough water over here for the time being. Alright, so we do need a lot of jelly. So maybe we do need to have a slightly different design here with the water, because I want to have fast inserters. Right, so this belt needs to be able to go along here. And then we need water. We're going to fix that. Like so. And then we need this kind of hookup after all. That's okay. This thing is going to go upstairs like so, and then here we could do a underground belt. Alright, and with that we are doing okay, except of course we do still need to make sure that we can take out the spoilage, which is going to be an issue. So spoilage, how are we going to get rid of that? Because we cannot have, yeah, we also have spoilage over here. So these are going to use that filter for spoilage. And they're going to take this material out. Though I'm not entirely sure where to yet. But I'm guessing they can go onto this belt over here, where we are also getting our other spoilage from. Right, there is... Now this is for the seeds. This is for spoilage. This one is for spoilage. And this one is for spoilage as well. Alright, well, I'll find a solution and I'll be right back. Well, this is set up now to basically run indefinitely. We have set up a long-handed inserter that is going to put out the spoilage basically before the rocket fuel, and all of that is going to get picked up, put onto this belt over here, and that is going to go down over in this direction, and then it's going to be transported over here. And then we have a couple of more of these inserters that are going to exfiltrate spoilage, and they're going to bring it down over here, and they're going to be basically putting it onto this belt here as well. So with that, I think that now we have set up the rocket fuel. We will have quite a few already, which is nice, but I don't think it's going to be enough for forever. Oh, holy crap. I guess this thing was full. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pick all of this up, and then we're going to make the rocket silo, I guess. And we'll have to put it somewhere convenient. And then I'll also go back to my farms, and around the farms I'm going to put down some laser turrets because they have arrived as well. Yeah, very quickly we've been able to produce more jelly nuts than we can handle. Look at that. That is insane. That is a lot. This whole belt is filled up and we simply cannot process it all. So yeah, I put some turrets. Well, yeah, I just ran away from it, but I put some turrets all over because, yeah, these creatures are very resistant against this type of damage. So I figured, you know, we just need overkill. We need a ton more turrets than we think we need, and yeah, just make that work somehow. And yeah, that's about it. So I'm going to do that on the other side as well, and then I'll be right back. With everything up and running, it's time to think about the next step, which honestly it's a bit daunting. Like we need to make low density structures, right? That is plastic bars, that is steel plates, that is copper plates, that is so much of the bacteria that we need to farm, and we basically just need to do this 100 more times, you know. We need to scale this up to an incredible degree, and we just don't have those materials available. So we are bringing some stuff over. Actually this thing just arrived, that was rather quick, which is nice. But yeah, we are going to have to scale up the iron bacteria and the copper bacteria by a literal ton. Now, I did put down the rocket silo over here. I think that will be enough space. We're not going to make this starter factory super huge until we really need to scale it up, I don't think. Yeah, we're going to grab that, we're going to grab that, we're going to grab these. And with that, I need nutrients, pentapod eggs, and landfill, and we can make a bunch more of these biolabs, biochambers, actually. Yeah. So once we have that, I can scale up this production, and then we can have a dedicated belt for this, for like different factories or assembly lines, basically, to produce this stuff, because yeah, we just need a whole lot more than we are getting right now. This is pitiful. I can barely feed these turrets. Like, look at the little bit of ammo that we have produced in the time since we started. This is nothing. It is ridiculously little, which is scary, because we are going to have to put on a pretty decent defense here in the future, you know? Yeah. This is no good. So I'm going to make a bunch of these, and then I'm going to draw this line forwards a little bit towards the side, or maybe upwards. I don't know, like I already kind of built myself into a corner here, it feels like. Now we could remove this and place it somewhere else as well, and that would be fine. But let's see. We could at least, yeah, make two more here. We could get rid of the cliff later if I bring cliff explosives, and that reminds me then. Let us remove this. Let's ask for cliff explosives, and we'll ask for 100, and we'll get them from Novice. And we'll ask for this one again, because that is good, and we'll ask for this one again. And we'll send it back to Novice. Alright. Alright, so what I'm learning here is that we don't really need that many to fill a belt. I just added 4 of these. We're basically filling a blue belt, and we are feeding... Well, we could feed 6 machines. I have 5 here, but basically this could be 6 or 7 or maybe even 8 that we could feed off of just these 4. Because even here we have 6. These 2 basically never are able to put their products anywhere. So they might be better off being rebuilt somewhere else, right? So if we remove these, we can just rebuild it. as a different area, and then we could feed another little loop like this, I suppose. And another thing I'm learning is we have a ton, but I mean a ton of spoilage coming out of this factory as well. Look at that. This is another blue belt. These 5 basically fill a blue belt of spoilage. And these machines here, they keep up, but barely. Like, we could put speed modules in here if we didn't have such dire power, you know, such a bad power situation. Which we do unfortunately have, but yeah, we could probably add another 5 onto here, or we could add a couple of machines like right about here, I suppose. Right? Let's go ahead and do that actually. We'll just have to reverse the inputs. So we'll have these ones over here, then we'll have outputs over there. You know, hook this up to the power. And then this output needs to go down over here, so we need to facilitate that somehow. Which I will do, and then I'll be right back. And we have a huge problem because our power is all gone, which is absolutely terrible. That is really, really bad. So what we are going to have to ask for some more materials. So we'll ask for solar power, and let's ask for, let's say, 450, and then we'll ask for 450 of these as well, because we are definitely going to need it. Yeah, this is still going okay. We have rockets, but we definitely need more. We can expand this later. And look at look at the pollution cloud on this island, man. That is insane. Luckily, most of this stuff is being kept pretty clear by the artillery because we have such a huge range. You know, we're barely touching any of it. But we are angering some aliens over here, which I guess are still coming over to the walls. Yeah, they are. But that is definitely manageable. Anyway, this is a pretty big problem. And yeah, this as well was not producing enough power because, I don't know, we had some of this, what's it called again? Carbon on the belt. And it wasn't being used somehow. Yeah, we ran out of power and then this couldn't do anything anymore. So I guess what we need to do is we need to replace these with burner inserters, because burner inserters at least will always be able to fuel itself, you know. So whatever stuff is coming down the pipeline here, we will be able to use it. And of course the sun is coming up, so now the solar panels are back up and running, which is nice. But yeah, this is a problem. And I did rip out 2 of the solar panels over here. I guess we'll just put these somewhere. Fits there, we'll put it there, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, things are coming along, but it's quickly becoming clear to me that the sheer size, the sheer scale that I would need to build this at to be able to make blue computer chips here is insane. And I cannot do it. I don't think so. So that is a big problem, and for that we're going to have to import blue computer chips from here. Now, I'm not entirely sure how much stuff we would need for one rocket to be built. And I am not entirely sure we can see that. Right, a rocket parts, and then we need a bunch of rocket parts. So that is kind of hard, but I guess, oh, here we go. 1 rocket part is 1 processing unit, 1 low density structure, and 1 rocket fuel. But then we probably need like 50 or something of each. So I am not entirely sure. We could probably quickly go to Navis and check out Cape Canaveral over here. This is being produced one time in increments of 2. So yeah, basically we need 50. 50 of these to make a 1 rocket. So if we import 200, we could make 4 rockets with that, I suppose. And that would work. What is how many we can put in 1 rocket? Rocket capacity is 300. 3 stacks. Alright, so basically what we would want to do then is have this thing import, let's say 300 computer chips, and then also we would want to have like 300 and rocket capacity is 200, so I guess we'll do 400 low density structures, because we have them available on the planet, and we can make rocket fuel on the planet itself. So these ones we would definitely want to have, and yeah, we'll have to import that, and then we'll have to take care that we will take that stuff from here and bring it down over here. And I guess we will quickly be able to do that just by, you know, building a little bit of stuff out like that. But for now, I think we've been playing for long enough. So thank you so much for watching. Please do leave a like and a comment below if you enjoyed this content and wish to see more. And I will see you guys for whatever video I do next.